Did you go to the bathroom yet?
Nope.
Because that's that kind of girl. Right.
You have to like get the yarn, the wool, and then get the yarn on. Which is basically what the hook is for.
Right.
And then what happens when my mom's yarn breaks? Then she just gets the wool back together, and then she holds it together and starts to spin.
And it grabs it and puts it in there.
And then it twists it and makes the yarn back. And makes the yarn
I'm going
back
to trade
together.
places with you, and you're going to sit here, okay? So you hold this. You don't pinch it tight. You just want to hold it so that it doesn't move away from you. Yeah.
And then while it spins,
spins,
you pull it a little bit.
Exactly.
You want to pedal for
Which
her?
makes it thinner.
You sure?
Sometimes if they just start with one thing.
I like that idea. So here, I'll pedal for you, and you do this part, okay? So hold it, and just let it feed. Ready? You got it? Hold back just a bit. So your job is to hold it from pulling, and you let it go slowly.
And when this happens, you just pedal.
Yeah.
And
pedal.
you twist it. And then.
See? Look at you go.
And it makes the bump go away. But if you make it spin the other way on a spindle, not on like a spindle, then it'll make yarn on spin.
Yes, exactly. So one direction spins it, the other direction unspins
It's white right there.
Yeah, see? Those all three colors. So we'll hold that here. And it may not be beautiful, but we're just learning.
Yeah.
So, ready?
Because we're still just learning.
We're just learning. You got that? Oh, I stopped spinning. That was me. Okay. Pull back a little bit. What's going on here? We got all tangled up. Hold on just a second. That's the awesomeness of this machine is it's super easy to do.
Yeah.
We'll let that be.
I can see that when it gets tangled, you just take that off and like, untangle it, hook it back on there, and then it comes through here and wraps up. Like
See, it's wrapping it on, yeah, exactly. And so if we go the other direction, it unwraps it. Pulling it back and see how it wants to wind it and grab it. And that's the trick to getting it thinner or thicker is the amount of fiber you put in there.
Yeah, if you want it to be thick yarn and strong yarn, then you just get more wool in there.
Right, well I think lots of wool doesn't necessarily make it stronger, but yeah, super thin is definitely...
So it makes it thicker?
Yes, thicker.
Which makes it seem like it's stronger, and it will make it better for knitting, like this yarn right here.
Right.
That yarn is goldenish, caramelish color, and with white.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Catherine. I'm here with Dirtpatcheaven and wanted to introduce you to Mike. And he has a channel. You might know him already. He's Farm Fit. And so we met up with him here at the Baker Creek Expo. And he's one of the several amazing channels that we run into. So we thought we'd bring him in and have him talk to you guys. So can you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I basically run a farm in North Carolina with my family. I have a wife and 3 children, Selah, Josiah, and Micah. And I originally began starting off getting into growing your own food by just being interested in the health aspect of where my food comes from. I've been in the health and wellness and fitness industry for 15 plus years now. I actually became a professional bodybuilder about 10, 11 years ago. And I was just really interested in eating healthier and having a healthier body and having just a healthier lifestyle in general. And I knew that the best way to know that I was doing that is to actually grow food yourself and actually know the story behind your food. So my wife and I, when we purchased our first home together, we started off by growing food in our urban area, urban property that we owned, and we just began growing food. And I was learning. I didn't have any background in growing food. I didn't grow food at all growing up, so I was brand new to it and had a lot of school of hard knocks along the way. But I was super excited about it, and we were making a lot of progress. And then after it wasn't long, we knew we wanted to have kids, and then bam, we had kids. And I became not only interested in providing healthier food for myself, but providing healthy food for my whole family. So we began growing more and more food, and we got to the point where we live, there's a lot of restrictions, especially if you want to have things like chickens that we can't have. And I really wanted to just expand and begin having chickens and other animals for our children to be around, and also to provide food for our family. So the chickens were kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back as far as us making the decision to leave the city and go out into the country. However, we were working on a small budget, practically no budget at all. So we basically sold everything we had to live out in the country. We sold our house, sold one of our cars. We were down to 1 car, and sold most of our possessions. And we took that money, bought a yurt. We live in this crazy thing, this glorified tent called a yurt, and that is where we started really homesteading and taking things to the next level. Like I said, we had a lot of school of hard knocks even as we were going into that part of it. I thought that I wanted to do pasture poultry, started doing that. Come to find out, we didn't have the right context for it, and I actually didn't like butchering chickens for sale. I like doing it for ourselves and for our family, but we were reaching the point where we said, hey, we actually need to figure out how to way to bring income to our farm to support the things that we wanted to do. And the more that I was working alongside my family, the more I said, hey, I don't want to go off farm working. I want to do something together. We really enjoy spending time together. So, and that was really how we really started getting the shape of our farm and working out the dynamics of our farm.
So if you were, I think a lot of what you said just resonated with me, because there was a lot of reasons in why we personally also went into homesteading. We wanted to ensure the health and happiness of our food and know what was being applied to it, and because what we're ingesting is literally fueling our bodies. So if we're putting in nasty chemicals, that's also fueling our body with nasty chemicals. So we decided the best way to ensure our personal health was also to start raising our own food.
Yes.
And so discussing kind of our commonalities before we started this, we discovered that we've both been on this journey about the same amount of time.
Yes, yes.
So if you were just starting out and you were looking at becoming a homesteader from scratch, where would you recommend somebody start?
One of the things that I would recommend is, I would have 2 major recommendations. Is first, actually get started in doing something. If there's an area that interests you, don't wait, don't have analysis paralysis, get started. The second thing I would recommend is, don't over romanticize what it is that you're going after. A lot of people do that, and then when challenges happen, which they will happen, they get discouraged and end up quitting. So you really need to find a deep down reason why you want to do what you're planning to do, and then actually do it. Don't wait along, don't wait years and years and let the years pass. Actually just go ahead and make the jump and just do it. You're gonna have challenges, you're gonna face problems, you're gonna go up and down with discouragement and have moments of victory, but just do it and remember why it is you're doing what you're doing.
Oh, I like that. Good advice. And so you said that pasture-raised chickens wasn't for you. And so what is it that you found was a good fit for your family?
Well, I began listening to a podcast, Permaculture Voices, and I heard this gentleman on there named Curtis Stone, the urban farmer. And I actually didn't think you really could make money farming small scale. And then I heard him talk. I kept listening to him, and I began to believe that you actually could do it. And after about a year of listening to him, I enrolled in one of his online courses, and then I began implementing some of his processes along the way and began refining the focus of our farm. We had goats, we had chickens, we had ducks. We had so many different things going on our farm. We wanted to make our own soap. We wanted to do all this. We had so many different things going on that we weren't doing anything really well. So after listening to him, I decided we really need to focus, narrow down our focus, and just really refine that before we start adding a whole bunch of different things into what we're doing. And I did that, and it began working. We started doing a market garden and implementing a lot of the principles that I learned from Curtis Stone. We did things such as microgreens, which are really profitable and easy to do in a short period of time. And that really helped us to really get generate income on our farm.
Oh, very nice. And so at this point in time, we were talking about livestock. My favorite livestock is ducks. And so we found out we've got that in common as well. So why would you recommend ducks over chickens?
I like ducks for a number of reasons. One is most people are doing chickens. So one of the things that I do with raising ducks is I'm one of the few people in our area that are doing ducks. Duck eggs are alkaline, chicken eggs are not, so there's a lot of health benefits associated with duck eggs. Also, there's a number of people that are actually allergic to chicken eggs. Mm-hmm. So offering duck eggs as an option, bam, you have those people, you're one of their main suppliers for duck eggs. Also, we live in a context where ducks are more suitable for where we live. We have a pond and a property that it can be damp and wet for ducks. That gives them an area to actually thrive in. So we have chickens, but I really like ducks, and they're just fun to watch. Don't you just enjoy just watching them?
I love my ducks. And in fact, I write a weekly column for my local newspaper, and one of the things that I do is I reach out to our local animal control and discuss ordinances with them, and I know that there are ordinances against chickens in most areas. I happen to find out in my area there is no verbiage in regard to ducks, and so there is no ordinance against ducks. And so that within my community you can have a backyard full of ducks and it's acceptable. So
that's great.
Yeah, as I thought that for a backyard homesteader, if you're looking at it and there are laws against chickens, that is something you can explore with your own municipality is, okay, well, chickens aren't allowed, but are ducks. And I would think because chickens are destructive, where ducks are not so much. We've got a bunch of background noise. We're here at Baker Creek, and we're actually in the Children's Expo area, and the children are having fun. They don't care that we're filming. So apologies for the background noise. But yeah, so as far as destruction, I would go with ducks. Hands down every day.
Yes, chickens, a lot of times if you're trying to have a garden and keep the produce growing and you let chickens go in there, they can be very destructive and ruining your plants. So you definitely want to, if you're raising chickens, I'm not trying to discourage people from raising chickens, but you need to have that in mind of figuring out ways to keep them out of your garden if you're trying to keep a garden intact.
Right. And sometimes, so you can figure out that, well, one livestock is a good fit where another type of livestock isn't. So in my particular case, I do have a bunch of chickens, but I do prefer the ducks. So how about on your farm? Do you have other livestock? No other livestock. We basically have ducks and chickens, but we do have dogs on the property. We raise Australian Shepherds, and our dogs are really the purpose for them. We actually have a purpose for our dogs. They're not just pets. We want to actually make sure that each animal on our farm has a purpose to contributing to the farm as a whole. So we have dogs that really help keep deer out of the garden. They have done a fantastic job. Before I had dogs, deer would come in and eat our Swiss chard and eat some of our greens, and we really don't like that. They've actually did some really good damage on our tomatoes before we had dogs. So our dogs are really good at discouraging deer from coming around, and we also keep them near our ducks and chickens at times just to kind of help discourage predators from coming around them as well. We have some cats too, and they do their work when needed. Right.
So-
Yeah, we actually just recently added cats to our homestead, and funny that we're talking about this because when you transition from city life to homestead life, you start viewing all animals in a different capacity.
You do.
And so they become part of your crew, and they fill a necessary role. So we have lots of rodents. When you bring in livestock and you have feed, rodents tend to follow.
Yes, they do. They do.
And
Especially-
so, yeah.
Especially mice, and the cats can really help out with that. I've had mice a number of times try to get to the feed, and those are some things you got to watch out for.
Yeah. As in my area, I have issues with pack rats.
Ooh.
Yeah, and they've actually been causing damage to our vehicles.
Okay, wow.
And so you've got this financial cost involved with the rodents, and so our cats are filling the role of not only protecting our homestead from vermin, but protecting our personal property.
Wow. I don't know how much the pack rats differ from the field rats, the large rats, but we do have those at times. And they'll actually eat your chicks and ducklings. So those are some of the animals we have to watch out for too.
Yeah, same here, yeah. Oh, okay. So what brought you here to Baker Creek?
Well, last month I was at the Homesteading Life Conference with Doug and Stacy, with Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and I had heard of Baker Creek before. I think I've even purchased from them before, and then I actually had the opportunity to meet them at his conference, and we struck up some conversations, and they invited us to come out here. And this is our first time in California. This is our first time here at the National Heirloom Expo, and we're having an absolute blast. Just meeting everyone who is a part of this tribe of being connected to where your food comes from. And it's just so inspiring to be here and be able to connect with Dirtpatcheaven here and a number of other YouTubers that are here, but also just the general audience that is here. It's very encouraging.
It is encouraging, and it's really neat to meet people who have the same vision, same goals, and we're all kind of moving down the same path. Even though we may not be at the same place on the path, everybody is so supportive and so encouraging. So, and
Yes.
the Baker Creek people are just fabulous.
They sure are. Excellent company. Highly recommended.
Me too. So great seeds too. As I
Yes.
do have a favorite seed company, I share that with you guys frequently, but Baker Creek would be right there behind my favorite Mary Heirloom seeds.
Yes.
So, and so if you were to be just starting into a market garden, what tip would you give to somebody as they're exploring their own personal market?
The first thing I would do is I would probably see what everyone else is kind of selling maybe around your area. This maybe not have to be your very first step, but just kind of get a feel for that. So that way you're not just going and offering the same things that everyone else is offering. And then once you start growing something, grow something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in, and just start by taking some samples of those products to chefs or restaurants. And even start with just the people that you know, your friends and your family members, and then I say, hey, what do you think of this? And those are the people who are going to be, especially your friends and family members, who are going to give you be open to giving you feedback, the feedback you need, whether it's not any good, whether they like it, or whether there's just some things you might need to work on or consider. So just do that. And then from there, as you're working on that and getting that feedback, work on your ways of being able to produce that. Just refine things and be able to do it more efficient. Then you can offer it as more of a product to sell. But if you're doing things like, if you're raising chickens and eggs, I wouldn't necessarily recommend giving those away because the consistency of that product is pretty much the same. So, but a market garden, definitely work on just giving them out for free and then getting feedback. And just give little sample bags or something like that. You could also do microgreens. Microgreens is something that you can grow within a week's time period from seed to harvest. Low cost, but high profitability. And they're a great product that also has a lot of great nutritional value. Actually, in this room that we're in here, we've been showing kids about microgreens here. So this is one of the reasons we're actually in this room here at the expo.
So, and you did a talk today. Baker Creek brought you out to be a speaker.
Yes.
And I know today you talked specifically about gardening with children.
Yes, I did. We did. And I really want to encourage those of you who have children, whether they're your own children, your grandchildren, or just whether you're a farmer and you have children that come to visit your farm, invest in the next generation. I've heard too many stories of how parents and grandparents back in the day didn't let the children participate in a lot of the farm duties and chores and tasks. And they did that in detriment of the next generation. And I think that's a part of the reason why some of these skills and things have been lost over these last few years of the Industrial Revolution, is just because those skills were not passed down, and then these generations that we're in now, we're like, hey, I don't have these skills. We need to figure out how to learn them because they weren't passed down. I didn't have them passed down to me. I had to learn from other people on YouTube in various ways. It was not passed down to me from my parents and grandparents, regretfully, and I'm sure that it has been the case for many of you.
As I would agree, and that's my situation as well. I'm second generation off the ranch and having to learn everything from scratch, even though I come from a family who has long time been homesteaders and ranchers. These skills have been lost.
Yes, they have.
And that's something Julie and I are both passionate about, is preserving skills. And so that's something that really, it fills my heart. And we are actively working on not only teaching our own children, but anybody who's willing to want to learn, because we as a society are desperate for these skills.
We sure are.
We've lost them.
We sure are. In times past, we're lucky in the sense, it's not really my favorite word to use, but we're lucky in the sense that we don't necessarily require these skills right now. That may change right now for survival, but in times past, if you didn't have these skills, you could die, your whole family could die. So you needed those skills in conjunction with the ability to work with your family in a connected way to survive, and for generations to keep on and society to keep on as a whole.
So how is it that you involve your children so that they want to be involved?
Since our children are young, we really started at an early age. And when they're like 2, 3 years old, they're already interested in just experiencing life. So they really want to be hands-on, and sometimes more than they probably should, involved in the things that you're doing. They want to be like you, and they're just experimenting with life. They're primed for learning there, and you want to continue that on. But each age has different challenges and different advantages to working with them and showing them how to do things. Selah, our oldest right now, is 8 years old. We started her, I believe she was about 3 years old when we started involving her in a lot of things in the garden. And now she's able to do so many tasks. And I actually involve her. She's mostly over the chickens. She's able to collect the eggs, get up, and she's able to do it without mostly being micromanaged. Yes, she comes to me when she needs help here and there. But I would like to also encourage you all who have children to give your children these chores as areas of responsibility for them. Don't be ashamed of the word work, nor hinder children from working, because these things help them to grow character as they are taking part in these chores and taking responsibility. There's so many lessons that are helping to benefit them, both now in the age that they're in and also in their life to come, as they're managing their homes and various aspects of their life.
I totally agree. As I found, I've got older children. My oldest is 19, I have a 17-year-old, and then I have a 7.5-year-old. And I found, because the 7.5-year-old has been actively involved in the homestead since she was 2, she's much more interested and excited about it. Whereas my older kids are a little more of they drag their feet. While I'm here at Baker Creek, I've got my middle daughter caring for my goats, and she's milking tonight.
There we go.
And although she's doing it, she's somewhat reluctantly doing it.
Yes, yes.
So I would think the earlier you start them, the more normal it is for them, and the more enthusiastic they are about it.
Yes.
So.
I'd also add that just like adults, children have areas that they like and that they don't like. So also try to encourage your children to refine the things that they really like, but also understand the importance of doing some of the things here and there that they don't like. Don't force them to do it all the time, but let them know that it is important for some of these things to be done, whether you like it or not. It's just part of life, and it's part of helping the team. That's why I like to call my family, we're a team, to go together. I learned some things the hard way. I tried to do too many things by myself on the farm, and it affected my health. And it also, like I said before, it's a detriment to everyone else. But when you're working together as a team, everyone flourishes.
Right. So when you first started homesteading, did you kind of jump in the deep end?
Yes, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy, so it's all overdrive and
okay.
just trying to make it happen.
Did you find that overwhelming?
Yes and no, but it's part of my personality, so I can't see myself doing it any other way. There's some things I would have done different and probably would have slowed down, and like I said earlier, I wouldn't have taken on so many different things because we were all over the place. But I don't regret just actually getting started, and like I said, just get started.
Very nice, yeah. I actually recommend that if somebody's looking at homesteading and has no idea where to start, go slow.
Yes, yes.
Because it is easy to burn out unless
Yes,
you've
is.
got such a strong vision,
Yes.
and if your reasons behind it aren't solid and you're really bought into it, it's easy to burn out.
It sure is. It sure is.
So,
It definitely is.
let's see. I'm assuming that you've been inspired by being here.
Yes, I have.
Are you taking any of the information that you gained over the last couple days and you're going to go home and create new or do something different?
For the most part, it has been neat to see other people who are so passionate. I don't run into this on a regular basis, people who are just so passionate about what they're doing here. That has basically renewed me because we don't every day run into people who are passionate about what we're doing as we are. But to see people who are just as passionate, I saw a guy on stage crying about corn the other day, and it's like, wow, that's just amazing. Not that it's wrong, because the other month I was crying on stage talking about my reason why of just working together with my family, but just seeing other people who are just pouring it out and just seeing that emotion come through it's just powerful.
It is. And it's interesting that you said that, because I think in normal life, because homesteading is kind of against the grain, and it's unusual because it's not convenient and it's not easy and it does require work, and that's not normal in today's society.
No.
So you encounter a lot of resistance.
You do.
And people want to, for some reason, make you feel like what you're doing is weird.
Yes.
And so it is nice to be around like-minded people and have that encouragement.
It sure is. It's like you're coming together with your tribe here, so
Yeah.
it's really neat. But yeah, if you're starting out doing homestead farming and any sort of thing related to that, don't be shocked when the critics come. Sometimes they're your family, sometimes they're your friends, sometimes they're a combination of all. They're just people who don't understand what it is that you're doing. Don't let it discourage you. Hang on. Try to connect with other people who are doing some of these things. Like I said earlier, come to events like that and be inspired, because you will need that shot of that boost of inspiration periodically to keep you going, especially during tough times.
I totally agree. Well, Mike, that is all great advice, and I really appreciate you taking your time and talking to our audience here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
If you guys haven't checked out Mike and his channel, you should go over there. It's Farm Fit, and while he's gone, his wife is stepping up and taking roles that is outside her norm. So she's doing filming. You said that's not normal for her.
Yes, that's right. She is. She's doing an excellent job, perfect job, and I appreciate you doing that. I know you'll see this video at some point, so great job, Lacey.
Yeah, go team.
Yes.
So very good, Mike. Well, we thank you again, and we will talk to you guys later.
Thank
Bye.
you.